Most people do not feel stressed. They feel tight. It is a persistent, low-level mental tightening that you've likely come to mistake for your personality. You aren't panicking, and you aren't in crisis. You are simply on. Your body stays slightly alert. Your mind stays slightly braced. It feels like being responsible, or staying on top of things, or simply caring a lot. But there is a difference between being engaged with life and being braced against it. What if the calmest people you know are not actually more relaxed than you? What if they are simply no longer bracing against a world that isn't currently attacking them? Think about your internal dialogue on a typical Tuesday. I'll relax after this week. I just need to stay focused. I can't drop the ball right now. You tell yourself that things only work because you stay on top of them. You believe that your vigilance is the engine of your success. This becomes your identity shield, the belief that your tension is a metric of your commitment. But if you look closer, something else is visible. This isn't just caring. It is protective monitoring, a hyper-control loop where the mind scans, predicts, and prepares for outcomes that haven't happened yet. What if the tension you call responsibility is actually your nervous system stuck in survival mode? Your mind is not trying to stress you out. It is trying to protect you. The brain often equates calmness with vulnerability. To your internal defensive system, relaxing feels like lowering a shield while the threat is still in the field. If the monitoring stops, preparation slows. If preparation slows, control loosens. And to a mind that values control above all else, loosening the grip feels like inviting disaster. Patterns protect before they limit. This internal pressure was likely useful at some point. It kept things from slipping. It made sure nothing was missed. But over time, the protector becomes the warden. The system maintains pressure not because a threat is present, but because it has forgotten how to exist without one. What if calmness isn't laziness, but recovery from constant readiness? This is the cycle as it actually runs. A situation appears. It could be an email, a comment, or just a thought about tomorrow. The mind immediately anticipates possible outcomes. The body subtly braces, jaw tightens, breath becomes shallow, shoulders rise an inch, attention narrows. And because you are braced, calm now feels unsafe. It feels like being off guard. So the tension becomes your new normal. Repeat this every hour, every day, for years. The body does not age only from the big crises, the losses, the accidents, the fires. It ages from the constant readiness for a fire that never starts. It is the micro-tension of a system that refuses to stand down. Imagine holding your breath for 10 seconds. Now imagine holding it, just slightly, for 10 years. Most people believe their stress is episodic. They think, I'm stressed because of this project, because of this person, because of this season of life. But if you look at the pattern carefully, the object of the stress changes while the tension remains constant. The project ends. The person leaves. The season passes, and the mind simply finds a new reason to brace. The bracing is the habit. The circumstances are just the excuse. When did tension start feeling normal for you? This is where identity friction enters. You may tell yourself, I'm just a serious person, or I've always been high-strung. But there is something worth separating here. Seriousness is a perspective. Persistent bracing is a physiological state. They are not the same thing, even when they feel like they are. And there is something else worth noticing. You may have become the person others rely on to stay alert. The stabilizer, the one who sees problems before they arrive, who holds things together when others drift. That role carries real value. People depend on it. You depend on it. Which is why the idea of releasing it feels threatening, not because calmness is dangerous, but because you have become the person who doesn't need it. Here is the delayed insight. Calmness does not mean caring less. The more you brace, the less effective your caring actually becomes. You are reacting to the ghost of a threat rather than responding to the reality of the moment. Calmness is what happens when the nervous system finally receives the message that it is allowed to stand down from unnecessary defense. You are not failing at being peaceful. You are reacting to a deep-seated belief that safety must be earned through constant vigilance. Are you responsible, or simply bracing? Human nervous systems evolved for survival bursts. We were designed to run from the predator, then sit by the fire, then high-intensity defense followed by deep, restorative stillness. That was the original rhythm. But modern life provides no fire. It provides a constant stream of low-level anticipation. We are always in between things, waiting for the reply, waiting for the weekend, waiting for the results. The nervous system receives no clear signal that the threat has resolved, so it remains engaged, not loudly, just persistently. And here is what rarely gets examined. Control, when you look at it closely, was never quite the thing it appeared to be. You controlled your responses, your preparation, your anticipation, but outcomes, the actual outcomes, always had their own momentum. The tension did not change that. It just made the waiting feel more productive. And some people move through life with less physiological cost, not because they have fewer problems, but because their system eventually absorbs a quiet truth. Not everything requires protection. Peace is not the absence of responsibility. It is the absence of unnecessary bracing. The body remembers how often it was told to stay alert, to stay ready, to stay tight. It takes time to convince the mind that the world will not fall apart if the monitoring pauses for a moment. It takes time to recognize that what felt like commitment was, in many cases, simply the inability to stand down. You are not lazy for being calm. You are allowing the system to do something it has been resisting for a long time. Observe the tension in your hands right now. Observe the weight in your shoulders. You don't need to fix it, and you don't need to force a relaxation that isn't there. Just notice the bracing. Longevity may not begin with a perfect routine or a specific habit. Sometimes it begins with the quiet realization that you have been holding your breath for a decade. It begins when the system slowly learns. Nothing is chasing you. You are reacting, not failing. The pattern is visible now. That is enough.